You will now be placed into conference. There are 7 participants in the conference.
Carrie, this is Joan Wilson. Are you there?
Hi, this is Lauren. Is Glenn there?
Lauren, this is Joan. I haven't heard either Glenn or Carrie, and I have a question for them too.
Okay.
This is Carrie. I'm on.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
I was unable to pull up the agenda, and I need an executive session at the beginning of the meeting to talk to the board under attorney-client privilege. Is that on the agenda? I'm sorry, I wasn't able to check myself.
It is.
Yes,
It
the
is
executive
good.
session
Okay.
is on the agenda.
Very good. I have some new information to pass along, but it is under privilege.
Okay. Is Mr. Klinkhart online?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay. Mr. Miller, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jaime, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Schulte, are you online?
Yes.
Mr. DeShock, are you online?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wait a couple of minutes till officially 11 o'clock, and then we'll call the meeting to order. I appreciate you all being able to rearrange schedules and meet. I know for Mr. Jaime, a little bit of a conflict, so we moved it up a day, and I'm glad he could make it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I show it is 11 o'clock on Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, and I am going to call the special meeting of the Alaska Marijuana Control Board meeting to order. And Ms. Craig, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, sorry. Lauren Jones,
Here.
Nick Miller,
Here.
Christopher Jaime,
Here.
Bruce Schulte,
Here.
Casey DeShock,
Here.
sorry, and Director Klinkhart,
Present.
Joan Wilson,
Here.
and Carrie Craig, me. I am here. Thank you.
Okay. And I assume we are recording?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay. So the first item is approval of the agenda. The agenda is twofold. There's an executive session to discuss transportation issues with our council, and then following that, any response to the COVID-19 transportation discussion based on our executive session. Is there anybody has any other items or any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Schulte.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Miller.
is there any objections? Okay, Ms. Wilson, do you have any idea how long we might be?
30 minutes.
Okay. Just for those that are on and keep joining in, we're going into executive session. We estimate about 30 minutes. Is there any other comments before we hang up and dial into the number with the executive password?
Director Klinker?
Okay. Who's that?
This is Devron Hellings. I was wondering when you're prepared to take public testimony, please.
We don't have public testimony on the agenda today, but we might, after we come out of executive session and have our discussion on the record, and then I will see. So probably half an hour to 45 minutes from now.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. With no other issues on the table, then we will hang up and go into executive session. You all should have received an email from the director a couple of days ago that gives you executive session number. So we'll hear you in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome to the GCI Conference Center. Please enter your access code followed by the pound sign. That entry is not valid. Please enter your access code followed by the pound sign. That entry is not valid. Please enter your access code followed by the pound sign. That entry is not valid. You have been disconnected. Goodbye. The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end. Welcome to the GCI Conference Center. Please enter your access. Thank you. Please stand by. You will now be placed into conference. There are 19 participants in the conference.
Yes, sir, and we are recording.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I am going to call the Marijuana Control Board meeting of Wednesday, April 29th, 2020 back into order at 11:31. We have been in executive session. We are now in open session. Is there action from the board? We have a motion from the board.
Well, if I could find the reg, I will offer one. Sorry, I'm trying to find that.
758, Mr. Schulte.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll probably push this. But so, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we refer the emergency regulation most recently adopted, and we'll refer to it as paragraph 750H to legal counsel for review and a possible redraft for reconsideration by the board.
Okay. Is there a second?
Mr. Jaime, I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Jaime. Is there any discussion from the board?
Mr. Chairman, Bruce Schulte.
Mr. Schulte?
Yeah, having made the motion and recognizing there's people on the line listening, I would just offer that there's the terminology may not be best from a legal perspective, and so I think it will be worthy of another pass by legal to see if we can make the language better.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Wilson?
Because there are people listening, I do think would be helpful that people know that that redraft may actually include a repeal of the transport provisions so they can plan accordingly. But
Okay.
You'll decide that when you meet again.
We will. Okay. Is there any other discussion? Then to vote on the motion, Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Jaime?
Yes.
Mr. Schulte?
Yes.
Mr. DeShuck?
Yeah.
And I'm a yes, so that motion passes. Just for those also listening, we are hopefully going to have that draft done and noticed next week. The board is going to set a meeting for next Thursday, the 7th of May, for 11 a.m. For a meeting to consider those, that redraft. Hopefully the redraft will be available to the public before our meeting. And so just for the public, we will adjourn this meeting and we will start we will call for another meeting on Thursday, May 7th at 11 a.m. Seems to be a good meeting time for all of us. Is there any other issues related to the transportation discussion that needs to come before the board?
Director Klinker, this is Deborah Hellings.
Yes, ma'am.
With
This is Lauren. This
is Devron Hellings, D-E-V-R-O-N, Hellings, H-E-L-L-I-N-G-S. May I offer?
Yes, ma'am.
May I offer some testimony to you and the Marijuana Control Board, please?
As long as it's not on an agenda item or regulation, yes.
Excuse me. My comments would be as a cannabis transporter.
I think we will probably take some comment at our next meeting, but
I would prevail upon you and the rest of the board, I think it's important that you hear at least one perspective of the impacts of the emergency regulation change that went into effect April 17th, with all due respect.
Okay, please.
Thank you. Director Klingart, members of the Marijuana Control, good morning. My name is Devron Hellings. I'm a cannabis transporter whose business focus is picking up samples for testing and delivery to the nearest lab, CanTest, and I have a problem. We've all been paying attention to the new regulations that have been coming down recently, and most people are making good faith efforts to abide by them. We were particularly grateful for AMCO's recent directive, allowing transport of samples and product within Alaska, air, and sea. Just for me personally, this would save both money and time over the current practice of driving or flying to pick up samples. Yesterday, Alaska Airlines refused to accept my agent's Gold Streak package because it contained marijuana. While I understand and respect their decision, I want to appeal to the control board to see if you can help. We don't have a lot of choices in Alaska, and if we can't ship via Gold Streak, that closes off an important option. Can you help convince airlines to accept our packages for transport within the state? Last week, my agent tendered an Alaska Airlines Gold Streak package that was accepted in Fairbanks. When Anchorage cargo personnel identified marijuana, Anchorage Airport Police were called. Airport Officer Hagar reported to me that since all documents were in order, he saw no reason to seize. End of story. I picked up the package and delivered it as manifested. I ask again, can you negotiate with Alaska Airlines so that the cannabis industry continue to thrive? Without the required laboratory testing, cultivators statewide will be unable to sell their precious products. Thank you for considering my comments and acting judiciously.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Since I've opened this up, is there anybody else online that wishes to testify before the board on non-agenda items?
I have a question for the board.
Who's this?
This is Heather Allen, A-L-L-E-N, Bristol Bay Bud Company.
Okay.
My question is, I'm wondering what we're doing with expired IDs now that under the emergency order I couldn't find anything, nor could my lawyer find anything about what we're doing as far as helping out the customers that come in whose IDs have expired during this time that they cannot update their IDs. Could you please advise?
I will, as the board chair, we don't deal with that. I will ask Mr. Klinkart to have staff get together with you directly and try to advise you the best they can. But I assume that in some rural areas where you don't have access to DMV or DMV's closed, that may be a problem.
Yes,
I certainly recognize that.
Problem.
But I will let Mr. Klinkart and staff contact you directly rather than do that through the board.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good day. Y'all stay safe.
Yep. Is there anybody else? Okay, hearing none, I am going to adjourn this meeting and just remind the board members and anybody else that's listening, we set the next meeting for May 7th at 11 a.m. And if there's no other issues before the board, then we are adjourned. And thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end.